Well, guys, this is different. Welcome to the podcast. This is, of course, Life in the Peloton. I'm Mitch Stocker, your host, and the podcast is being brought to you by our major partner, MAAP. MAAP was born in Melbourne, a city with an unhealthy obsession with sport, style, and coffee. And MAAP have expanded all over the world, but always make sure they have one cleat clipped in their hometown, Melbourne. Like I said, guys, this episode is a little bit different, and that's why it's coming to you right now, hot off the press. The idea is the Vuelta España, one of my favorite races, is on right now. They're in the second rest day. As you're listening to this, they're probably up and racing, but when I recorded this, they're in their second rest day. 1 week to go. The Australian Ben O'Connor is leading the race with Primož Roglič right behind him, 1 minute behind. We've got Enric Mas from Movistar trailing him at 2 minutes as well. They've got a ferocious week to come, and I thought, what a great idea. Why don't we create a virtual press room? The Life in the Peloton Rest Day Conference. So I thought, wow, I want to get an insight for you. I want to get insight for myself. What is going on in this Vuelta España? It started in Portugal. They headed down south in Spain, super hot. Guys were just riding really different. Primož Roglič took the lead. Then all of a sudden, stage 6, the Australian Ben O'Connor went on this long-range attack and took the jersey. From there on in, it's been a fight. Ben O'Connor losing a little bit of time each day, but then all of a sudden getting some back. He got some time back when he sprinted to third place in Granada. Yesterday, before the rest day, Primož Roglič getting docked 20 seconds for drafting in his car behind his team car after changing bikes. There's lots of stuff going on. This race is so exciting for a whole lot of different reasons, and that's why I want to unpack it. I've got a rock star crew for you. I went away and spoke to my old teammate, Carlos Verona. He's from Spain. He's running with Lidl Trek. He's a 31-year-old. He's ridden 6 Vueltas. Next up, I spoke with stage winner Mike Woods. He won stage 13. He's ridden 5 Vueltas. He's won 3 stages in the Vuelta. He's a 37-year-old from Canada, riding for Israel Premier Tech. Next up, I have for you Ben O'Connor, the current leader of the Vuelta España. In the red jersey, the 28-year-old from Perth, in his third Vuelta, he's got 1 stage win. He's done the elusive stage win, 1 in the Giro, 1 in the Tour, now 1 in the Vuelta España. He won stage 6, and now he's clinging on to that red jersey. 1 week to go. Can he? Can he not? We don't know. You can hear from him what he thinks about it. I went away, also spoke with Juanma Garate, the sports director at EF Easy Post, my old team. He's ridden 12 Vueltas. He's been a sports director at 7, 8, 9. He doesn't even know how very many. He's won a stage there himself, an ultimate Spaniard. He's from the Basque Country. An absolute legend. He's there helping Richard Carapaz. They've had a bit of a topsy-turvy tour as well because they lost Rigoberto Urán in his last Vuelta España, his last Grand Tour. He's retiring this year, and Rigo had to bail out just a few days ago. And lastly, I have for you the guy, the legend, Robert Gesink from Visma Lease a Bike. He's the 38-year-old from the Netherlands in his 11th Vuelta. Well, he's ridden 11 Vueltas, so in his 12th Vuelta, he's worn the red jersey. He's there. He's rounding it all out at his favorite Grand Tour, the Vuelta España. So, look, it's hot off the press. Sit back, get an insight to what is going on, and enjoy this one, guys. This is something new for you. The virtual press room, brought to you by Life in the Peloton. Well, Carlos Verona, we're here at the second rest day of the Vuelta España. Carlos, how are you feeling, mate?
Very tired, to be honest. It has been a very hard second week. I think every day we climb more than 3,000 meters. But also the speed in the bunch has been really, really hard. No? It's true that some days the bunch maybe took it easier because of breakaways, but I was lucky or unlucky to be in 2 of those. And yeah, today I feel the legs, but yeah, it's always every Grand Tour I do never gets easier. So yeah, it's part of it.
Everyone's talking about how much climbing there is in this Grand Tour. It's got the most amount of climbing we've seen for years, maybe ever. Are you noticing the amount of climbing in this year's Vuelta España?
Yeah, I knew it was close to 60,000, no? And I don't remember if in the Tour was somewhere around 40 and 50, like in the Giro. Yeah, it's true that it's very hard, but in the other side, you make a lot of those altitude meter in rolling course, you know? It's not like maybe in the Giro where you have completely plain stages where you don't gain any single meter. And then, yeah, you go to the Dolomites and then you have crazy stages, no? I think in La Vuelta is more balanced, no? So maybe the total amount is higher, but I think you feel less, no? Also, the roads normally are good and we are climbing so fast that some of them looks like even flat, no? Like if you look to the stage of Saturday when we did 45k per hour average in a 3,200 meters course, then it feels almost like flat. So yeah, it's not the problem that much the altitude meters, it's the speed.
Tell me about something that happened just yesterday was Primoz Roglic was docked 20 seconds coming back by his own team car when he did a bike change. Something that in the Peloton is questionable. It's like, well, what are we allowed to get motor pace by? When we have a crash, are we allowed to come back with a car? When you're changing bikes, are you allowed to come back with a car? It's a fine line. What is your opinion on when you get motor pace back by your own team car? Because we're talking about the concussion protocol. Riders are supposed to get assessed on the side of the road. Obviously, they're going to need to get back behind their car to get back up to speed. It's very funny. What's the opinion in the Peloton, or even just your opinion about this?
Good question. I didn't think much about it until yesterday, no, when all this came out with the Roglic sanction. And I don't know. I think we need, first of all, to have clear rules because, like you said, sometimes the jury just let you go behind the cars to go back in the bench for whatever reason. No, if you crash, if you got a mechanical, or if you are coming with bottles from the backside. No. And yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yesterday, they thought this was something special. And yeah, it's true. I mean, he could be back in the bench for sure after this mechanical with the help of the teammates. But we were going so fast. And we thought the dragging will be much more difficult.
What are you thinking about riding the Vuelta as a Spaniard? This is your now sixth Vuelta España. You had the most competitive jersey back in 2015 in stage 10. It's pretty special riding a Grand Tour. I always loved the Vuelta, but what's it like riding it as a Spanish rider?
For me, it's just special. You know, like I have families, people I know all around, people also just screaming your name. And then you visit many places that you don't do since you were a kid, no? At the end, I grew up doing this Spanish Cup, no? When I was junior, so we were doing races all around Spain. And it's very nice to be back now in the bunch of La Vuelta, no? I remember some things, no? For example, last hotel we are in La Vuelta this year is the hotel of Burgos, BH, the hotel where we used to be there. So wherever you are, there is always something special, something emotional. And for me, it's what I like most of this race, no? It's true that for me, if I have to choose one of the three Grand Tours, I will stay with the Tour because I think it's more to my type of rider. It's more regular. La Vuelta is really explosive, you know. There is everyday opportunities for the breakaway, and also you see many riders here, like young riders, punchy, like people looking for a last chance to stay in the bunch. So you see really some aggressive racing, I would say, more in the Tour. And also the race is less controlled because there is not a real owner of the race. But yeah, for me, still this emotional part is above the physical part.
Well, let's talk about the last week. Finally, Ben O'Connor, the surprise red jersey holder, getting so much time in stage 6. And the question is, can he hang on to the jersey? I guess the big question is, we've got the Lagos Cavadonga tomorrow. It's a very famous climb. What are you thinking for the last week about who is going to win this Vuelta España, but also about your own ambitions coming into the last week?
I think, yeah. I think Bora and Roglic has planned to leave the jersey, no? And actually, if you look now to La Vuelta, we did 2 weeks. Red Bull, Bora didn't make any single pull. And I think they are still the favorites, no? Just 1 minute down from O'Connor. Mm-hmm. So I think they will make it. I think they were sometimes quite nervous, you know? But yeah, I think with the elasticity and also the bonuses and everything, I think Roglic will find a way to cut off this minute. And he won't wait for sure. I think actually he wanted to do it yesterday in Quito Negro. He couldn't. So I think he will go again in Lagos. And yeah, we will see a nice Vuelta, no? I think O'Connor maybe is there around in the podium because after all, he's still solid. But yeah, Carapaz and Mas are in a good level. Even Landa. So you never know, no? But I think there will be the top 5. And for myself, I will try to help the skill most. No, we are only a few seconds behind the best John jersey, so that will be my main role. And then look for one or two more opportunities in the breakaways. No, I think like we saw, this Vuelta is very open, and I think I can still reach a good personal result for the team. So I will try to go for it.
Lastly, Carlos, one thing I was just thinking about then, you rode the Tour de France, now you're at the Vuelta España, you're in the last week. I always got this feeling during the Vuelta it was so cool because you knew the season was almost over at the end of the Vuelta. Are you feeling like this, or you are still keen to race out the last races of the year, or you're really feeling like it's nice to be at the end of the season?
It's nice that we are at the end of the season, At the end, it's very intense. Like since May, you start to prepare for the tour, with the training camps. Then you go June, Dauphiné, July, the tour. And then, I didn't have much time at home. And now I want to start to calm down, no? I think I'm the second guy with more rest days of the year this season. So, I think it's enough for this year. But, anyway, I will see. I'm not going to stop suddenly after this. So maybe I feel better and we do something in Italy, but not more, not a lot. Or maybe a trip to Japan. Who knows?
What's the plan for today's rest day? You're at breakfast now. Is it for a ride or are you going to have a sleep?
We have to do some events with Lidl, something short here with some employees from Lidl in Asturias. And then I will do a coffee ride with the teammates. And just now, actually, I'm heading to the gym. I do always in my rest day some core stability and squats routine. Just takes me 15 minutes, but I like to do it, It's a way to connect with my home routine. And it's only time where I find time to do something else than ride my bike. So I will go for this after I stop talking with you.
Oh, Carlos, venga, mate. Enjoy the last week.
Thank you very much for the call. See you, mate.
Well, Woodsy, Mike Woods, here we are. The second rest day of the Vuelta España. I'm so excited. You can hear my voice. We haven't spoken in so long. Mate, first of all, how are you? How's it going?
Great, man. Really, really happy with the win on Friday and just the way the team's been riding in general. So the morale's been great. Also, have gotten through this week. The past 2 weeks have been next level. I can't remember a Grand Tour being this hard. You always think every time you do a Grand Tour, like, this is the hardest Grand Tour I've ever done. But this is the hardest Grand Tour I've ever done, and I think that has a lot to do with just that first week in the heat. I've never raced in the heat like that. Even having done Down Under, having done the Vuelta before, this was just another level. And then this past week was just bonkers.
Look, it's never, I get it. It's definitely hard, but it's never going to be as hard as 2018 Giro. Like, come on.
2018 Giro was filthy. That one was a tough one. I do remember suffering on that one, but this one by the numbers, by the numbers, it's the most climbing in since they basically recorded climbing for the Grand Tours, and they packed most of it in this past week. And then also the nature of how we raced it. Every day was just, we did on the bus, when we were on the bus prior to the start, we were doing our race meetings and we talked about the worst case scenario, like the hardest situation. And every single day managed to be the worst case scenario.
Is it what's the word in the peloton? Because look, we've been talking around the race. Yes, there's so much climbing. It's the hardest Vuelta. Exactly what you just said. Is that the word in the bunch? Is everyone sort of very aware of how much climbing there is, even though on paper it's there? Do you feel it? Do you notice there's just so much climbing? If you're a climber, you must love it.
Yeah, I do like it. But you're really noticing it. I feel like the last 2 days had the same feel as stage 20 or stage 19.
Wow.
But we're coming into the second rest day. And I think that also has a lot to do with just the heat of the first week. That first week just drained everybody. Everyone felt like their batteries are drained, and especially the final day in Granada was so humid. There's a deep fatigue on that first rest day. The first rest day felt like your normal second rest day.
Jeez. Well, can you rewind? Like, I want to get to your stage win quickly. Quickly before that, I want to speak about early on, stage 4 was essentially the first GC day and a typical Vuelta climb, just a bit of concrete up some side of a mountain there. And I had you penciled down as a potential stage winner that day, a filthy steep climb that would suit Woodsy, but it was a baking hot day that day. Is that sort of the feel that everyone just sort of was just a bit out of it because of that heat down in the south there?
Yeah, that was probably the hottest day temperature-wise. My Garmin ended up reading 49 at one point.
Wow.
But I had a terrible run of luck in the first week. And that day I was really hoping to contend for the win. And at the base of the climb, my chain fell beneath the chain catcher. And I had to get off the bike, try to pull the chain out, wait for the Shimano car to come up. They weren't able to fix it, waited for the team car, and just watched my GC aspirations and my hopes for that day kind of ride away. And it was a tough day. And then I just had bad luck after bad luck after bad luck for the next 4 or 5 days, and was starting to get pretty disheartened, but my legs have been so good. I'm feeling good on the bike. So I just knew I had to keep on plugging away, and eventually the result will come.
Well, you almost spelt it right out there. Bad luck. So why not win on the most unlucky stage of all, stage 13, and turn the luck around? And you actually went away. And like you had it, look, from TV, it's obviously, it feels like you had so much time. You had time to enjoy it. You're on your own from sort of 3K to go or 3.5K to go. Was it like that for you going up that ferocious mountain, knowing that you were going to win the stage, or you were still fretting all the way to the line?
Yeah, I think I was still... I was pretty confident that I had the win at that point, and I was able to enjoy it in some aspects. But in other aspects, I still had to get up the thing. And it was such a challenging climb with the headwind. When you have that much time, you also have a lot of time to think. And I was starting to think, well, what if I do blow up? What if Mara Schmidt does come back on me? Like, do I have the legs? And that doubt starts to creep in, which makes it way more challenging. But I really did get an opportunity to savor it, especially that last K, and really enjoy winning.
You've had 3 stage wins at the Vuelta España. I was there for a couple of those, and you've ridden 5 Vuelta Españas. How does this all rank? You know, this Vuelta especially, you know, the toughness of it. But where does that win sit for you in Vuelta terms?
Yeah, you were there for the other 2. It was pretty cool having you there. The first one was the most special by far, just because of having lost my son prior to 2 months prior to the race, dedicating that win to him. And it was also my first World Tour win, so it's hard to compete with that one. But
that was nuts, that win, wasn't it? It was so nuts.
It was cool. It was a cool one, and then just the way the battle went, it was a good one. But this one was right up there with one of my best wins, in the sense of just I've had a tough run this year. I've had a lot of illness. I picked up a bacterial infection in South Africa that I didn't discover until May, and really felt like I was slowing down this year. And I started to think maybe it's age, maybe it's just me just getting old. And once I got antibiotics, once we sorted out the health issues, I've just been getting that form back and coming back and getting the motivation back. And to win was a big relief and big release, and maybe not question retiring this year. You know, like I really thought maybe I was going to retire this year just because I felt like I was getting so much worse. But got this win and put some fuel on the fire for me, and made me excited for the next season.
Mate, you got a lot coming. You Canadian champion, and tell us a little quickly. This is a little outside the Vuelta, but you got to tell us about the jersey. This is something awesome. I'm all about the aesthetics when it comes to cycling fashion, and you've recreated the Canadian champions jersey, and you've really put your own mark on it. A bit of a tilt to the hat to the most famous team out there, the Maple Leafs. Tell us about the jersey.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I love that bit in your book, actually, because I just finished your book, and you talked a lot about just trying to have your own identity as a rider, which is so challenging with the big glasses and the helmets and everyone wearing the same jerseys. So when I won the national championships, I just really thought this is an opportunity to put my mark on my style and really identify uniquely in a race. And I didn't want the jersey to look like typical national champs jersey, and I spent a lot of time thinking about my favorite national, like Canadian kind of jerseys, and the two ones that really came to mind were the 1996 men's Olympic, the Canadian Olympic track suit, and then also the 1972 Canadian Summit Series, which was a hockey game played between Russia and Canada, and even they kept that jersey for several years up until '87. Gretzky wore it, and I really liked both, and I kind of tried to combine the two. And man, I couldn't be more happy with how it turned out.
I love that. What a combo. What an inspiration to be able to actually do that, because often you get blocked to be able to do that. You're like, amazing. Imagine it could look like this, but the fact that you were able to implement your own influence into your jersey, that's so cool. And it really does look cool. I know everyone's seen it. Woodsy, let's talk about this last week coming up. It's going to be a big week. The big question is, look, Ben O'Connor took the jersey stage 6, maybe a bit of a surprise, but look, he's finished 4th in the Giro, fourth in the Tour. He's no surprise when it comes to the GC. What's the feeling in the bunch? Well, maybe your opinion, but the feeling in the bunch, can he hang on to it? What's everyone thinking? Who is going to win this Vuelta?
Yeah, Ben's such an incredible rider, especially when it gets hard. And he's proven that time and time again, winning in Teen and in the Tour, winning even his Euro stage. Just when it gets hard, he's clearly one of the best riders in the world, and he's going so well at this race. But I think the only way that Roglic can really chip away at him is actually if he's fresher. Ben tends to not do as well when it's a fresh, punchy effort, which is Roglic's like stomping ground. So if Bora continues to kind of implement that strategy, let breaks go, let breaks go, I think they've got a shot at him. But stranger things have happened, and if the race continues to get harder, then I think Ben still actually does have a chance.
What about inside your team? You got George Bennett right up there. You've slipped up on the GC now. We saw Riccatello early on showing good form, especially on that concrete climb we were talking about back in stage 4. He was looking very good, just a young guy, a young American. What about inside your team? You've got 3 guys right up there. Frigo's also been riding well throughout the Tour. What's the thoughts with the team going into the last week?
Yeah, big focus on stage wins still. We've kind of lost GC hopes after yesterday. George lost some time, but he's still moving great, and we've got a lot of talent on this team. A lot of opportunities to still win. Corbin Strong's been sprinting well, and just kind of missing a bit of tactics on a few days, but he's got the speed to contend even with Wout and Caden, and Marco Frigo is also just flying. He came second on the stage already. He's climbing so well, and I think he's got a real shot at a stage win.
Well, for the rest of the rest day, Woods, are you going to sneak out for a cheeky run, get a quick 5er in? What's the plan today?
No, I didn't bring my running shoes this time. Normally I do. I try to, but I didn't have room in the bag, unfortunately.
Well, you got to slip the track spikes in there. They don't take up any room.
Yeah, they would have fit perfect.
What is the plan for the resty?
Coffee shop ride for sure. Get some breakfast in me right now. I'm starving. I just woke up. I'm on Spanish time. It's almost 10 o'clock here, but our races end so late that I'm just kind of waking up at almost at 9:30 and having breakfast at 10, and then basically by the time I've done my ride and had lunch, it's almost time to go to bed.
Well, that's very un-Woodsy like. You used to be the guy who was up first, and I messaged you. I'm back here in Australia, of course, and I messaged you. I thought, Woodsy will be up at 7. He's the first down to breakfast, usually trying to clean all the pancakes up before anyone gets down there. But you've changed your tune in recent years.
I'm a changed man. Now that I've got kids, any chance I get a chance to sleep in, I take it.
Well, Woodsy, enjoy the rest day, mate, and always great chatting to you, mate. I look forward to watching you in the last week. Try and get another stagey.
Thanks, Mitch.
Wow, how great is this? I am speaking with Ben O'Connor, the leader of the Vuelta España. It is on the second rest day. Ben, welcome. How are you, buddy?
Thanks for having me. I'm good, more or less. Actually, I've enjoyed it a lot, obviously. It's been a pretty sweet experience. And it's been a kind of funny race, I guess, for GC guys. I feel like you have to race every single day. It's been a little bit different. to the normal Grand Tour routine.
Well, tell me about the beginning at the race because, look, it was super hot down there and there was so much strange stuff going on in the south. And I'm not saying that it's warmed up, it's cooled down too much, but, you were essentially a little bit off the GC and, stage 6, you got away and all of a sudden they just didn't really understand who they were dealing with, or maybe I reckon they just couldn't do anything about it. That's the feeling I got from watching it on TV because you were seriously on a day. Tell me about the first 6 stages until you took over the red jersey.
So the TT was super average, like highly variable wind conditions, real high speed, and I just had a bit of a shocker. Then a couple pretty hot days when you're in inland Portugal, Sevilla. We had this mountaintop then stage 4 and I was super cooked, absolutely blown. It was so hot. I think I had a 40 average on Oahu and it was just disgusting. So that was not ideal. And you could kind of see it coming, even going up before the steep section of that climb. I was like, oh no, this is not good. But, GC is kind of weird. And I've done it before in the tour where I then kind of threw everything out the window and gave a crack for the breakaway or just to win something, to be honest, because I actually just wanted to win a stage here. The GC was going to come, I think, with that because I kind of know what to do. But to win a stage was a little bit like probably had to do something different rather than, just going head to head with a pre-molten mass on a mountaintop. So kind of just went all in on this stage. It was less hot and I don't know what it is about these kind of like medium mountainy kind of stages. Imagine it being like a massive central stage of the tour. Don't know. They just like fit my kind of like Palmares really well. So kind of went all in and then it wasn't easy to chase on that terrain. And I think you had to be very, very organized to claw back time. But yeah, they would have had to go pretty hard to catch me that day, to be honest.
Because like you're with Liam Mirza, who also has been known for going in long breakaways as well, but he was just a passenger and you got a couple of turns out of him. You got maybe 1 or 2 turns out of him, but he was just like, mate, I'm just going to just get ridden out of the wheel here. What was it? What was that like?
He was just, to be fair, he was already on the limit, I think, a little bit beforehand, like when we first got away. And then he was like, I'm not allowed to pull with you. I was like, you know what, fair enough. If I kind of get it. If you were DSM, you got a young guy and then you got someone like me who has done some things in races that they're like, look, you just try to get to the finish and see if you can hold on. But yeah, in the end, it was kind of like me against the bunch, which was pretty cool.
It was really cool because, even the guys from the breakaway made an attempt to get across to you and they just blew themselves to smithereens. And that's when it became very apparent that you were on such a day. And the bunch weren't mucking around. They were actually chasing and they were losing time to you. At what point were you in that, I guess, going for the stage win there? There's a few things out of that stage win because you became the 4th Australian, I think I am right in saying that, to win a stage in all 3 Grand Tours, a pretty rare thing to do and a pretty highly prestigious thing to do. But that was obviously the goal, as you said, to get a stage win. But at a certain point, it became, oh, hang on, I'm going to get the jersey here by a fair chunk. When did you start thinking about the red jersey?
I probably already knew it once I kind of actually went away with Lame Razor. Kind of thought I'd have it by that point. Once we got away, we got over this climb. We had quite a long descent, and then it was these really tricky roads. From there, gap was still 5 minutes, and we'd pulled out on the guys chasing behind. I think it was Bahrain they were riding from what I heard. So then, yeah, straight away I was like, all right, well, I should have it, no matter what by the time I get to the finish line. The way I was feeling, it was wasn't like I'm gonna explode. Like lights aren't gonna go out today. It was very much like all right, I'm aware of this. So that's why I didn't really ask for turns from him. And whenever he looked around, it was just very much like, just pace it as best as you can all the way to the finish line and make sure you drop Lame Razor.
So tell me about then after that, pulling the red jersey on, and then I guess, switching your mind into, hang on, I might be able to fight for the victory here all of a sudden again. Coming into the race thinking about that, then those hot stages, maybe that was drifting out of your mind and suddenly it's like, well, hang on, I've got the jersey here, now I'm defending it with a massive chunk of time. Well, not massive, a good chunk of time. And then having some up and down days in this second week to where we are now. Tell me about this second week.
So firstly, put on the red jersey. I mean, like, I had this, like, you got the full red suit and it's just sick. It's super cool. Love the color of it. And it's really like, everyone around the team is around you. Not like they weren't before, but it feels even more wholesome. And it's pretty sweet. You see how proud everyone is. Also, just the way people will then treat you in the bunch afterwards, after you do like a number like that, and you're in the race. It makes you feel pretty proud. So
that's awesome.
You then just tackle each day as it comes, but you do have, I guess, I wouldn't say you got more stress. That's for sure, because you're not really chasing anything. It's very much like kind of like defending. And if you're not good enough, well, that's kind of how it is. So there's some pretty average like days. There's some days I really suffered. In Cazorla, it was really hot again, and I just died on that climb. And then also there's another one in Galicia that I just really struggled with in the second week. But it's been pretty relentless. It feels like bar stage Caden one. There hasn't really been too many days where you could like just very easily switch off. Like there's always been a moment where we as a team have to ride pretty hard at the end just to make sure nothing, tricky happens. And then you got to remember then you have to, what it's like. You got to control the brake. When you're leading a race like Vuelta, it's super tricky for breakaway management, like because everyone wants to be in a breakaway. So it's absolute mess at the start, and it's pretty tricky. We've been pretty good so far. I don't think we've let anything slip, but it takes a lot from the boys.
Well, tell me about that, because it's known knowledge now that you're going across the Australian team, Jaco Alula, next year, and it's a weird thing. You're racing in your last race, and everyone knows you're going, and everyone's talking about it. What's the commitment been like from the team? And to have you there racing, a few people are like, why would they even start him? But obviously, if you're in good form, of course you want to use your rider that you're still paying to the end of the year to race for you. What about this weird dynamic? Is it weird inside in the team, or is this just an exterior thing?
No, it's a full exterior thing. It's been 100% behind my back the whole way throughout the race, even when I had a bit of a shocker on stage 4. I think it's just kind of maybe it's an old school way to look at it, and maybe it's for different types of riders. In the end, in decathlon, I am kind of more or less the guy who is the best GC rider. So it's like you can't just like flog him and pull him away. In the end, the boys have seen the reward for the commitment too. It's great. I think it's great if you could work with someone who's reliably consistent and reliably there at the front of a race, because otherwise if you're just missing something, then you're going to come to a Grand Tour, you're not really going to get much out of it. But when you're in this opportunity now, like this chance now with the red jersey, you're really having an experience which you might never have again on a team like ours. Remember the last Grand Tour jersey wearer for decathlon, I think it was 2009, which is a bloody long time ago. So it's a pretty epic kind of thing to have as a team, and I think the boys have gone 100% behind it.
Tell us about this last week, Ben. You're on your rest day now, so you're probably just trying to absorb this. It's the morning of the last rest day. You got Covadonga tomorrow, straight out of the holes, a very famous climb, the Vuelta. And everyone's speaking about it. This Vuelta's got 60,000 metres of climbing, a ridiculous amount, or something around that. There's lots of climbs to come. What are you feeling about the last week? And I'm 100% in your corner. A lot of Australians are. A lot of people are around the world. They want to see you take this out to be the only Australian to, win the Vuelta España. And then finally, we've got all Grand Tours. How cool would that be? But there's still a hell of a lot in front of you. How are you going to tackle this last week?
It's the underdog syndrome. But in the end, there's 3 mountaintops. There's tomorrow, Covadonga, which is probably a day that suits me fairly well. Friday stage, a fresher mountain is probably less ideal, and then Saturday is a stage I really, really actually look forward to. Love those kind of days. Crazy altitude meters, it's like 4,700 meters, and that's kind of like my bread and butter. So it's a week though that you can't really switch off though, because it's not like an easy day on Wednesday either. Because on Wednesday there's it's really hard in the middle of the stage. And then Thursday is also one of these like rolling stages around Pamplona where it's always hilly, always up and down. It does become like wearing, it is fatiguing, just always climbing. You just want to, you do a tour stage and there are flatter days and it can be hard for the breakaway to form. And then afterwards it's super chill. Whilst here, once the breakaway is gone, it's chill, but you still have like, 2,500 meters climbing still for the stage. So it can just be a little bit weary. I just can't wait for it, man. Whatever comes, comes. And I said it before, but I've managed to win a stage here. I've got this jersey now for 10 days. So whatever happens afterwards, I shouldn't say it's a bonus, but in the end, I've already had like a super fantastic race. And in the end, I've actually got kind of nothing to lose because who knows when, or if I'll ever have this opportunity again. Maybe people will see it as like you have everything to lose because it's your only one shot. But I don't really see it like that because it's a fortunate situation that I've just got to try and grab because it's been falling into my hands.
Super dangerous when you're like that. I reckon Primoz Roglic is not going to like hearing that. When someone's like that, nothing to lose. They're very, very dangerous. And the thing that I've loved...
He's even more dangerous because champ. He's won this quite a few times before. He knows what he's doing.
Well,
and that's dangerous.
There's many ways to look at it. The thing I love about you, Ben, is something everyone's discovered in the last, let's say, 12 months is your no fear to be candid in the interviews. And especially in this Vuelta España, your interviews have been unfiltered and you've just actually shown us who you are again here today. And we've all found out who you were. A lot of criticism or some criticism from the Netflix series. But now I think people are understanding, which is pretty rare now in the bunch, people giving these really real sort of unfiltered interviews. How have you gone about the media, one, after sort of the Netflix and then two, moving into the red jersey and getting a lot of media attention again? How's it been for you?
I think you just have to be down to earth a little bit to who you are. I think to be like for media safe is probably better decision, to be honest. But I think you can talk frankly. Yeah. I don't think it's you don't need to like beat around the bush. You can just tackle it as you would answer a normal question and just believe that you're going to say the right thing, to be honest. It's rare that you would really say something like stupid that would get yourself like, in a tangle. So it's not something I really struggle with, to be honest. And it's not been too weary either, weary, sorry. It's actually been okay, to be fair. Although the Instagram thing gets pretty busy, which can be a little bit annoying. But in the end, it's all support, more or less, which is nice.
Mate, lastly, before I let you go, it is the rest day, like I said. What is on the cards for the leader of the race? You're going to go out for a ride, you're going to do efforts, you're going to kick back and just have a lazy day. What's happening for you today?
I think we're leaving about half up because it's going to rain. And then hopefully the rain stays away until we get back. I think I've got a couple media things left to do, but really that's about it. And then just think about how we tackle tomorrow. And then lastly, need to figure out a few things about the World Championships as well. A couple of logistical kind of things, bikes and how they get there and travel and so on like that. So enjoyable things. I've already planned my off season, so that's already a box ticked. So you can be productive during a race. But
mate, you've just said exactly why I love the Vuelta España, is because it used to fuel my fire through the back end of the race. Was I just think about the off season? I'd plan the off season.
It's the best. It's incredible. It was already midway through this second week. I was like, I can't wait. just scrolling back through photos, and I was sitting outside with a beer and a glass of wine, platter of cheese, and it's the dream. One more week.
Soon enough. Well, Ben, we can't wait to watch you, mate.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Well, here we are. We are midway through the second rest day. I'm speaking with my old sports director, the sports director of EF Education Easy Post, Juanma Garate. Juanma, good to speak to you.
Hey, hello, Mitch.
We're back on your favourite race. Look, I was trying to work this out. You rode the Vuelta yourself as a rider 12 times, but how many times have you de-essed it? Is it 7 times?
Probably you are probably 8 by now, 8 or 9. I don't remember. Probably it's 9th year this year. I don't remember, to be honest.
This is ridiculous. And you also sat in the car as race radio, didn't you?
Yeah, 2015 I was a radio too. Man, I mean, it was not easy at all. I mean, I think it's easier to be a DS maybe.
Well, you're also a stage winner back in 2001 as well. We're here to talk about the Vuelta. This ridiculous Vuelta España has been this year, so much climbing, and as you can imagine, this wouldn't have been a good Vuelta for me, would it?
Of course.
No, would have been horrible.
Course. I mean, it's only 61,000 meters elevation. I mean, it was made for you, Mitch.
Just a few kickers, as you would say.
Yeah, fake kickers. I love that word. I must to say that I'm not using that word anymore because I feel bad for the riders. But now I'm using climb. And for every kicker we face, I say it's a climb coming just in case.
Well, look, let's speak about the start of the Vuelta and speak about the team that you are leading away there. You have got Richard Carapaz. He's sitting right up there on GC at the moment in 4th position. But it hasn't been all smooth sailing for the team. You've lost a couple of riders. And look, very, very sad sort of ending to should have been a fantastic farewell to a fantastic rider, Rigoberto Urán, who had to bail out of the Vuelta earlier in the race. Tell me a little bit about the start of the Vuelta España this year, Juanma.
I mean, obviously the expectations that we start with were and are really high. And we prepared a really interesting roster for it. And Ri and Rigo, they were super important pieces for us, in the team because they have experience. They know how to do a big tour and how to ride for a GC and how to work for the leader. And, to lose a rider like Rui after 5 days and 24 hours later, another one like Rigo, I mean, it destroys not the plan, but you are more limited and you can't do whatever you want, and then you are limited with resources, and you need to use the riders in a different way. I must to say that the riders have left here. They are doing an amazing job. Of course, they are more limited on climbs because these two that left the race were the ones that they should be with Richard longer. But still, they are doing an amazing job every day, and they do the maximum. The atmosphere we have is still fine.
Tell me about this. Is an experience that you've experienced in other Grand Tours, and more specifically, I remember back in 2019, we lost 3 riders in one day, and we were down then just to 5 riders. But you have to reassess and you have to change your plan, and all the riders in the team have to actually step up and do 1.5 man's job. Is that the feeling this year with the team, with just 6 riders left early in the Grand Tour in such a very, very hard race?
And especially when you are racing for the GC with a solid rider as Richie, it's more like you need to limit the way you use the riders. It's like, okay, it's not up to us to control the race. It's not. We can't do a very offensive race. Even with 6 riders, we did it a very nice day. A very nice stage in Granada, right? Stage 9 with these guys. It's like we sent 2. We want to send 3 in the breakaway, and we did that move with Richie. Obviously, Richie had a day, but you change plans, and you always think more in details, like how I can use these guys properly without killing them.
What are you thinking about the race itself? It has got this big sort of talk about how much climbing is in the Vuelta this year. What have you thought about the race itself? It's really sort of been a very, very exciting race to watch on the outside, with Ben O'Connor going away on that great stage in stage 6, winning the stage and really turning the GC on its head. It's been a real race, as you mentioned before. Richie attacking and really, again, something that we don't often see in other Grand Tours. It's a really aggressive race. The Vuelta is always like that, but this year I feel like especially. What's your opinion being on the race? Is this something you like, or you prefer it to be a bit more structured?
I mean, the race, it has been really hard in the first 9 days. First, because the course was hard. Second, because it was difficult to control. And the heat down there in the south was crazy. It was so extreme that everybody in the peloton is very, very tired. The first 9 days were like a big tour itself. And then the fact that O'Connor got the jersey with such a big gap after stage number 6, it changed completely the race. And especially for us, we read that and we wrote that day, and then we say, okay, listen, it's not the same to be 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes down in GC than to be 7 minutes down of the red jersey. So we had more space, and we knew that probably by doing that move from far, I mean, we could have that space, and Bora or another GC or Movistar, they will put pressure on Decathlon because they were the ones in charge to ride and to follow Richie, right? So that's why we went. We did an offensive day on Granadas from really far away to the finish. So I think that day, to us, stage number 6 put the race in a really good situation to try to recover the time that we lost in a couple of stages, like Pico Villuercas stage 4, and and we lost some time there, and so we had to repair things. And now we are where we should be without losing these couple of minutes in the previous days, in the first days. And now the race is totally different for us. Now we are, close to the red jersey, so we don't have space for moves now.
Well, tell me about one thing that happened when Primoz Roglic dropped back to change his bike and come into this final climb. And look, he used his car. Natural thing that we do in the race convoy is use the convoy to come back and get motor paced by certain cars and even by your own car. He was docked 20 seconds. There's an interesting sort of chat about this, and I'm wondering, where does this go? Because it's a bit of a grey area. You crash, you come back by the car. Sometimes you change bikes because you have a mechanical. This time it wasn't mechanical. He got motor pace back, so he got dock time. Where do we go in the future of this? What's your opinion here? You're being a sports director. You're obviously there. You see it. You've been a rider. You know what it's like. When we're talking about concussion protocol coming up as well, riders are going to have to be, assessed and obviously get motor pace back. Otherwise, they're not going to be in the race anymore. This is an interesting fact. Where are you sort of sitting with this, Juanma?
But there are different ways to come back. I mean, when as a rider, you don't know, but in the car, the instructions we receive from the commissaires are specific. So in these cases, normally the radio tool says close the convoy. That's mean because when a rider is having a mechanical, the car's convoy stop, and then we have gaps between the cars. So the first thing they ask is, came together, close the gaps, stay in a line, stay close to each other. And like this, the riders, they can come back after a crash or after an accident or a mechanical, following different cars. But the thing yesterday is that they stopped their own car, and they, instead to close the convoy, they just put the rider behind the car, and they just were riding motor pacing basically until he catches the convoy. But in these cases, it's hard for the riders to understand that he should let cars pass. And then maybe you are not in the car number 5, but you are in a car number 15. But then you have all the convoy close in front of you. And then you go one by one, okay? So yesterday, this didn't happen. Commissaires were shouting in the radio, please close the convoy. And I saw myself passing him in TV, like with a car, because I had to close the gap in front of me. So we did it, but as a rider, you are in panic when you see cars passing, right? And you think that, okay, I'm going to be out of the race here if I don't have the line of cars. But yeah, I mean, it's something that we always do when we have crashes and mechanicals. We try to help riders to come back. But this is fair. I mean, it's nothing. We cannot disappear behind the peloton, and the commissaires, they can't do the barrage just because the rider has a mechanical, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's going to happen in the future. We're going to have to see something either changing or adapting, because everything's getting clamped down now. Let's talk about the last week, Juanma. It's a big week once again. We're starting off with a very famous climb from the Vuelta España, the Lagos de Covadonga. Well, you can pronounce that better than I can. Straight up, what's going to happen in this last week? Firstly, who is going to win this Vuelta España? Is Ben O'Connor going to hang on? Or are we going to see Richard Carapaz sneak up onto the podium and maybe even into the red jersey? No one's really speaking about him. They're talking about this battle about Primoz Roglic and Ben O'Connor, but Richard Carapaz is still there with a lot of climbing to go. What's the attack in the last week?
Last week is very hard, and the people is very tired. So we have an important stage tomorrow. It's coming after the rest day, and it's going to rain, and it's raining already today. So the riders, they need to do a proper rest day today. Like, no, when I mean a proper rest, it doesn't mean to lie on their bed. They are riding today for 2 hours under the rain. First, because then you need to have again back the feeling on wet on your bike, on wet roads, because they were not riding on wet roads since probably a couple of months, right? So they need to be back on this mental setup. Second thing is that a rest day is dangerous in terms that yesterday, for example, they spent 1,000 kilojoules per hour, and if you are treating like that your body and you don't do anything today or just not enough, the body is gonna react. It's gonna overcompensate things, and it's gonna keep like water, and it's gonna keep fluids in your body, and you are going to be like 1.5 kilo heavier tomorrow. So you need to really pay attention on these things, and especially because we have a really very demanding mountain stage tomorrow, and also the next days. I mean, then we have probably a bunch of sprint in Santander, but then we have another two uphill finishes, stage 19 and 20, and we can't forget the final TT, which is 24 Ks. There is not a lot of room for team strategies apart tomorrow and second last stage, but everything can change. I don't see O'Connor winning the Vuelta. Difficult for us to surprise because obviously we have plenty of eyes on us as well. So let's see. I probably is going to be just we have to support our leader, and it's the leader itself that has to be strong enough on the final climb to beat them, basically.
Well, it's going to be an exciting week to come, and I hope, Juanma, you've got a big dinner planned, as you always used to do in Madrid. Some fantastic restaurants and a nice wine.
It's planned.
It's planned. I never doubted you. And I hope the boys know about that. Or when we get a bit closer, you can dangle the carrot in front of their nose. Juanma, I'm missing not being there. It was my second favourite race after the Paris-Roubaix, and I always loved racing with you. So good luck in the last week.
Oh, thank you very much, Mish. Yeah, let's see. Stay tuned, man.
Well, this is really special here. I'm talking with Robert Gesink. Robert, here we are. We're on the last one. This is the last lap around Spain. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's going quick now. It's about a week to go, and then it's as we say, forever off season, and then I can start to ride at my own pace instead of having to follow others.
Wow, yeah, the last rest day and forever off season. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, of course, but ride at your own pace. Yeah. That's something I want to talk about. Tell me about the first week. Well, sorry, no, the first 2 weeks of this Vuelta España, because it hasn't been your normal Grand Tour. It's been a lot of climbing and the racing's been furious. And in typical Vuelta style, it's very unpredictable. It's fantastic to watch.
Definitely, yeah. It's been a weird Vuelta for different reasons. I think we started with super hot the first week or the first 9 days from Portugal to the south of Spain. And then we saw some weird racing because of that, because everybody has basically one bullet if it's so hot. And you want to keep that bullet as long as possible, so racing becomes a bit numb. And then you also see like Ben O'Connor, for example, when he did have the guts to give it a try, that actually nobody could really do something about it. So that was an interesting development. And the second reason is that there's a bit of a lack of control, let's say. So after that happened, it's Decathlon in the lead, obviously. Everybody's looking a bit at Bora. They miss a bit of power, it seems, to really control the race. So it became a bit of a more open race because of that. And groups making it to the finish, seeing a nice victory of Woodsy. It's been a bit more of an open race because of that. Ourselves also having we took our chances. We took the we gained a lot by that because of Wout doing so well. So far, good Vuelta for us.
It's very interesting what you said there. Lack of control. And what do you think is going to happen then in this last week? Ben O'Connor, he's been up and down. We've seen him looked like he's got control. He looked fantastic on that stage 6. And like you said, I could only see from the TV, and it looked like he just rode away with it. And interesting to hear you say you couldn't really do anything about it. Yet he gets to the short climbs and he loses big chunks of time. Once he gets on the long climbs, he holds his own. We've still got a lot of climbing to come. The unpredictability, is it about his team? Is he going to be able to do it? And also Primož Roglič, we don't know. He always tends to have a bad day. He's looking strong, then all of a sudden the wheels seem to fall off. What's going to happen in this last week?
Yeah, well, I've raced obviously a lot with Primož. I was there when he won his three Vueltas, and basically the way Primož works is that he's at his very best if it's all day easy day, and then one time, all out on the last climb, and there he is so much better than a lot of his opponents. Ben is a bit more of a guy who just he's good all day long. So if it's all day tough racing, you'll see you won't see many differences in between Ben and Primož. So that's where it gets really exciting. So up for the team or Ben's team, I would say, to make it as tough as possible all day long, and then he won't be far off from Primož and can get really exciting all the way to Madrid. I think Primož, and that's why you saw such big differences, is he's just insanely good if it's all day, well, let's say normal pace, not crazy, and then one time all out on the last climb.
Wow, really good insight there to what we've got to come in this last week. Tell me one thing I've noticed about Ben O'Connor, and I'm sure you've noticed yourself about the Peloton over the years. You've been pro for 18 years, done over 20 Grand Tours.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing with Ben O'Connor, he's copped a lot of slack for his Netflix series and just being so honest and candid in his interviews. And I think, look, we saw his real self there, and we're still seeing his real self in the interviews as the leader of the Vuelta. One thing around the riders now, and when the media comes, we don't often get to see the riders. They put this, I guess the interview isn't as open as you'd want it to be, and it's hard to really understand what they're saying. What's your opinion on that over your years, being in the spotlight yourself in the front of the Grand Tours, fighting for the GC and the Tour de France, and then now being in a different role, riding as a road captain, and just seeing that development of the interviews and the riders, what you see in the bunch now?
Yeah, I really recognize for myself as well, back in the day when I tried to do my GTs and Grand Tours, and that you're under so much pressure that it's more difficult to really speak out and show your true self, because also you don't want to tell too much, you don't want to explain too much towards your competitors, so you're a bit you go into an interview a bit more close, I guess. Now the last few years I got basically nothing to hide, so then you just throw it out there, and you become way more of your true self, I guess, in an interview. And also I guess part of that is just becoming more mature and not being a young kid anymore. I always felt like Ben is well, I wouldn't say open book, but he's honest and outright in his interviews. So I think in the bunch everybody really likes him, and it's a nice shake-up of things. Seeing him doing so well, and more and more riders obviously cheering for him. But he still has some tough days coming up with Primož, and Primož, as I know him, is a real champion, a real warrior. So he will keep on giving it a try. Like tomorrow's stage, Lagos de Covadonga. I remember racing with him there when he won that stage. He just went on the first climb with Bernal, super long with the two of them, and in the end he dropped Bernal on the last climb, and it was where he put the foundation of winning the Vuelta that year. So he knows the roads tomorrow. So I bet Ben also has been around here, so he'll be prepared. But tomorrow's already again another tough one for the GC.
Well, I hope they don't listen to what you're saying here and make it even tougher and try and make it a hard race. It sounds like a hell of a race for me to be in, and thank God I'm not there. Let's talk about you finishing it off here. Lastly, Robert, this is going to be your last Grand Tour, as we spoke about. You're wrapping it up this year. This is your 11th Vuelta. You won a stage back in 2016. You've worn the red jersey. Mate, how does it actually feel sort of wrapping it up? I know you don't want to get your head in that space. There's still a week to go, but obviously you've thought about it. This was your pick, your last Grand Tour. How's it all sort of feeling finishing here in Spain? Obviously, you're very familiar with this race. We raced it together for a number of times. It is a great race. I know a lot of people don't believe me, but I love this race. It's just, there's something about it. The challenge, it didn't suit me at all, but I just loved it.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful race. I mean, I've got some of the best memories of my career here. I've been sixth, I think twice, seventh once, won 4 GCs with team colleagues. So it sums up a lot of nice memories of my career, what all happened here in Spain. And yeah, it's I'm looking forward to the next thing in life. I mean, in the end, somebody told me the other day I did around 1,200 race days. So if you sum those all up, that's a big chunk of your life with a number on your back. And it's also time to start enjoying it a bit more. I'm 38 years old now. My oldest is my daughter's already 12, so I want to be more part of it as well. And to be honest, and as you know, it doesn't get any easier when you get older. These days, I'm racing with the sons of the colleagues I've been racing with in the past. Yesterday I was talking to little Vinokurov just before the finish, and oh yeah, I raced with your dad in the Olympics in 2012, and oh yeah, it's really what do I say? It's been a great ride, and I'm looking forward to a bit more forever off season, as we say. So it's the nicest time of the year where you can let yourself go a little bit and enjoy life a little bit more like normal people do.
It gets a lot busier, I can tell you, Robert. Lastly, mate, what have you done on your last rest day of your Grand Tour sort of escapades? And is there anything you want to achieve in your last sort of Grand Tour? You know, it could be anything. It could be just getting in a breakaway, I don't know, winning a stage, I don't know. Is there anything that you sort of go, you know what, I just want to do this one last time, or I haven't done this yet?
Well, yeah, to start with today, the weather was terrible, so that might be interesting for the upcoming days as well. The north of Spain is not as sunny as the south. So we did a nice 1.5 hour ride in the rain, and did try to get that heart rate up a little bit, because otherwise tomorrow will only hurt more if you really take it rest day. At least that's how I look at rest days. And then I'm basically here just obviously to support. Yeah, you saw perhaps 2 days ago me and Eduardo Affini controlling a 6-man or 8-man break with the two of us, putting out crazy numbers. Actually, I'm on a really, really high level, so therefore I could go on for a few more years. But I guess it's time to better to quit once things are going well, I guess.
The thought process trickles in. Oh, maybe I could do another year.
No. They made it quite clear when I signed this contract that this was really the last one. So. No, I'm not getting. It's still good, but I think I am as good because it's the last one, so you can peak once again. And let's see what's all possible in the last week. There's still a lot of tough stages to come. I remember 2 years ago I almost won a stage and got caught back at 200 meters before the line in the Vuelta. So I'm at a good level, so anything is possible. But first of all, we're here obviously with Sepp still aiming at a good GC, and Wout has won 3 stages so far, and we would like to add a few more to that. So I kind of enjoy this role I have now as a helper, and I got quite good at that as well. So that's nice to do as well. And if you can learn to enjoy other people's success or make it a bit of your own success, then it's a very, very satisfying job to do.
Well, the best thing about your job is we get to see a lot of you in your last tour. Unlike me, I was hiding down the back trying to hang on. We get to see you all the time on the front, and it's great. It's a really nice way to finish your last tour. We get to see you the last time. So, Robert, make sure you get up the front there and keep pulling, because I want to see your face on TV one last time.
Thanks so much. I'll wave at you.
Well, what did you think, guys? Did you get an insight to what is going on? If you weren't already on the board watching the Vuelta España, surely you got to be watching this last week. that was a real treat to go and listen to those boys on the second rest day and hear from them calling me from the hotel. I was a bit rough and ready because I just called them up. I didn't get to see them. I just spoke to them on the phone for 10 minutes and I wanted to pick their brains about what was going on. Guys, you heard Mike Woods refer to it. If you haven't got yourself a Life in the Peloton book, he's out there reading it. Woodsy, he's in it. It's a great book to understand what is going on in the Pro Tour, in the World Tour, in the world of pro cycling. We've got a bit in there about Grand Tours. We've got a bit in there about everything. Go and get yourself one of them. That is over at maap.cc, exclusively being sold over there at MAAP. Go and grab yourself one. You're crazy. I can't believe you haven't got one yet. A big thanks goes out, of course, to MAAP, our major partner, Red Bricks Media, who put this together. Eleanor, Will, these guys are doing an amazing job. And you guys for listening. I love hearing from you, so send in your feedback. And guys, until next week, hang tight. I look forward to watching the end of this Vuelta. Cheers, guys, and until then, adios. That iconic music in this episode was composed by none other than the legend, Pete Shelley. Cheers, mate.